So before starting SSRS, I was telling you something on the reporting services, right? So when I was talking to you in the starting of the classes, I told you that SSRS is nothing but a reporting tool, right? SSRS is a reporting tool. So we have done so much of hard work using SQL Server. We have built the tables and we have used SSIS to do the ETL jobs, and then we have developed the cubes. But at the end of the day, you want to display beautiful reports to the end user, right? The solution from Microsoft Microsoft says that use SSRS to build beautiful reports for your end user. Okay. So who are the competitors of SSRS in the market? So few competitors of SSRS in the market are Cognos, which is a very powerful reporting tool in my experience, and we have Business Objects, we have MicroStrategy, right? These are the few competitors of SSRS, right? But there are some other new reporting tools, something called as Tableau or ClickView, which are in-memory tools, right? Where it can store lot of memory, lot of data inside its memory to give the faster results, right? So, but those are called as in-memory reporting tools, which is used to develop the very fancy stuff, right? Instead of very dynamic things, to display the very fancy stuff for the end users, Tableau and ClickView are used nowadays, right? But SSRS is very powerful. The reason why it is powerful is it is tightly integrated with .NET, it is tightly integrated with SQL Server, it is tightly integrated with Analysis Server, right? So it has a powerful functionality to integrate with several areas, and also very important, it has a tight integration with SharePoint, which is a content management software, right? SharePoint is a content management software used to manage the different content, right? I hope you know something about the SharePoint, right? If you don't know SharePoint, you can just Google that. So it has, the thing is that the number of reporting options may not be available much as high as Cognos, but the thing is that in my experience, it is the integration with the different tools and to be in the ecosystem of these tools is the key advantage of SSRS. Okay. So basically, this SSRS is a reporting tool, right? It is called as SQL Server Reporting Services. It is a server-based reporting platform, right? You have a reporting server and you have some report manager, right? Used to develop different reports and give it to the client in the user-defined format, right? So basically, SSRS is have a ready-made tool where you can create and deploy and manage the reports. And as I told you, it is a tightly integrated with CH and VB, right? And you can generate the reports in Excel, PDF, Word, and whatever the format. There are a lot of formats in it, right? And you can deliver the reports via email or to a shared location or to some FTP, right? So these kind of things you can do in the SSRS, and it has lot of security features and tight integration with the SharePoint in order to control the access of data, right? So by this slide you should be able to understand what is SSRS, right, and why we use it. SSRS is nothing but a reporting tool where we develop the report, right? So what is a report? The report can be your telecom bill or a utility bill, right, or a progress card in your school days is also a report, right? Or your mark sheet in your education, in your university mark sheet is also a report. Anything needed to develop those kinds of formats, right, is called it can be developed in SSRS, right? So this SSRS was there in year 2000 when I was working with SQL Server 2000, okay, 10 years back. We used to have a concept called reporting from Microsoft, but that is not called as SSRS. So we used to have a concept for reporting, right? But even before that, we used to have a concept called list of reports, right? And then after that, slowly SSRS has evolved from 2005, and Microsoft is adding lot of features from 2008 R2, 2012 and 2014. So we'll see some of the features of it, right? Okay. So what happens is using SSRS, you can generate the reports of this sort. You can generate the report using graph, right? I mean, you can generate to generate graphs, or you can generate the reports for maps, or you can generate the reports for pie chart or bar chart or spark lines or trend lines, right? There are a lot of reporting terminology used in the organizations, right? So basically, if you are familiar with Excel reports, it's almost the same concept, right? Okay, very important slide. Okay, very important slide about the SSRS architecture. Okay, so we will come. What we will do is we'll complete this. Okay, we'll complete this architecture, which I feel is very important for you to understand it on a high level, how the things works. Okay, so before I explain you something about the slide, I'll go back to my laptop and show you the different things what is available in the slide. Okay, okay. If you guys have already installed SSRS on your machines, okay, so you have a section for SSRS and configuration, right? So the first important thing is, when you install SSRS, you will go to start, right? You'll go to all programs and you'll go to a section called Microsoft SQL Server 2014. Okay, and there is a separate section for configuration tools. Okay, there is a section for configuration tools. In configuration tools, you have section for this is the section where you can configure the different things. This is a section where you can configure the different things. Okay, so there is one section for configuring the reporting services configuration manager. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll right click here, run as administrator, click yes. So this is my reporting services configuration manager. It means that to make sure your SSRS report works, there is something happening in the background. What is that something is we are seeing now. Okay, very important, and if you understand this concept, you will be able to solve most of the issues which you get in the real time. Okay, so every SSRS server, every installation will have one SSRS server installed. Okay, every installation will have one SSRS server installed. So where is that server located? It will be in the form of service, right? It will be in the form of service, where you can see the service of SSRS. SSRS service can be found in, go to SQL Server 2014, and there is a configuration tools, right? And there is a SQL Server 2014 configuration manager. Just click it. Yes. So this is my configuration manager to manage the different services, right? So if I click here, these are the different services running in my machine. Okay, but I will have a separate service for SSRS. Okay, I have a service called SQL Server 2014, SQL 2014, which is specifically for SQL Server 2014 reporting services. This service will make sure that all my reports are handled properly in terms of security and in terms of management. Okay, and in terms of execution and rendering also. Okay, so this is the service which will help the SSRS engine to run. Okay, very important. So there is one interview question also here. So this is the service which you have to always make sure that it is up and running, which is the backbone of SSRS. Okay, if you, in my machine, actually I have installation of SQL Server 2005, 2008, 2012, 2014, and right, I have 4 things installed in my machine. Okay, I have 4 SQL Server things installed in my machine. But if you observe carefully, there is reporting services for 2008. There is reporting services service for 2012. There is one reporting services service for 2014. But there is no reporting server services for 2005. For 2005, there is no reporting service. Okay. The reason for it, when Microsoft has launched SSRS for 2005, right, they did not have a service for SSRS. They did not have a service for SSRS. So how it used to run the reports at that time, in the time of 2005, okay, in the time of 2005, is there is another web server called IIS. there is a web server called IIS, right, which is a web server which will be running in your local system or a server. Using the IIS, there used to be a virtual directories concept, okay, where it can host the reports or it can manage the reports. So in 2005, we use a concept called IIS, which is a web server, where we use a concept called virtual directory to host the reports. But after 2005, Microsoft has specifically given service for 2008, 2012 and 2014, right? So this is a very important thing to note, right? This is also one of the very important interview questions. So they'll ask you about the service in 2005 because almost 20 to 30% of the projects currently in the market are still running in 2005. So if you go to a new company, there is no surprise that they are working on 2005 because some of the projects in my company we still running in 2005 and we are migrating that to 2012, right? So there is no surprise that still people are working on 2005. If you get a chance to work on 2005 environment of SSRS, don't be surprised that there is no SSRS reporting server service. That will depend on the IIS. Okay, key difference to note. This is one important server which should be up and running. Right, this is running, right? Once this is running, what is the name for it? SQL 2014, right? And what is the server it is hosted? It is my local server, right? My server name, which is my PC name, and which is my host name, is this one, right? And what is the instance name? Instance name is SQL Server SQL 2014, right? So I have to connect to the same instance. If I cannot connect to another instance because I opened this thing from 2014, so I can see only the 2014 instance, or not any down or bottom or the previous version of it, right? So this is my instance connect, right? This is my instance connect. Here I have so many things here. I have a service, so basically it will say that okay, this is your SQL Server 2014, this is my Enterprise Evaluation Edition, and this is for that there are some things, right? There are some database. When you install the SSRS, there will be some few databases installed already for you. Okay, so if I go back to my SQL Server, this is my SQL Server, right? This is my SQL Server. In this SQL Server, this is my SQL Server 2014, right? In my SQL Server, if I expand the databases, during the installation, already it has installed couple of databases for me. I did not create these databases. When I was installing SQL Server 2014 with SSRS, it has created two databases for me. One is the report server for 2014 and the second one is the report server TempDB for 2014. It has created two databases which will be used specifically for SSRS. Okay, I come back here. So what is my report server database name? Report server 2014. So all my reports will be stored in this 2014 reports, right? Anything which is related to the reports, there will be some system tables which is related to 2014, right? So I can see it here, right? So this is created during the installation, and it is using this report database for hosting the different kinds of reports, or to use the as a database, right? And my report service status is started, which is from here. I have already started this, right? It is running, so its status is started, right? There are two things. Basically, service account, leave it as it is when you install, right? So there are two things. One is a web service URL. Second one is the report manager URL. Okay. So what is this web service URL? Web service URL is to go to a place where your reports are hosted. Web service URL is a place where your reports are hosted. So by default it will give you one report URL. So if you click this URL, you'll go to your report server. Okay, if you click this URL, you'll go to the report server, right? So what is this report server? Report manager, I'll show you. And there is another section called report manager. Okay, this is report server which is hosting the reports. There is another section called report manager which is to manage the reports. Means, example, you want to add some new data or you want to give some permission to some people, or you want to delete some reports. So these type of things can be done by the report manager URL. Okay, so what I did is to access this one, if I directly click that, example, if I click this directly, it will open in my Google Chrome, which is my default browser. Okay, so I logged in with a account called training.msbi in my laptop. So but I clicked that. So for the training.msbi account in my laptop may not be having permissions to view this manager, because only the administrators of that server can manage that, right? See, what it is saying is, it is saying that I don't have permissions, right? I should have sufficient permissions granted, or I should be an administrator, right? So it is not allowing me to go there. So for that, if you encounter the same problem in your machine, what you do is go here and go to Analysis Service, go to Internet Explorer, right click, hold your shift button and right click and run as administrator, right? So what I am doing is, I am impersonating to Internet Explorer that I am the administrator of the system, please run as administrator. Example, if you are not the administrator of the system, if you try to run like that, it will ask you the admin user ID and password. But in my case, it knows that I am the administrator, so it has given me the administrator permissions, right? By default, something is opening up with the internet, but actually if I go to my favorites, I have already stored my report server report manager here. So whatever I am seeing here, example, this is my report manager link, right? So what I can do is I right click, I can copy this, or I can just click this, something open, right? Already I stored it here. This is my report manager, which is the same URL. Yeah. So this is my report. Now I don't have any issues, right? So this is my report manager, and if I go to my report server, this is my report server. These are the things which I hosted in my server. So this is some report, but what is this report manager and what is the report server? We will see deeply in the next weekend class. But this is very high level. This is used to host your reports. This is used to manage your reports. Okay, and these settings are available in the reporting services configuration manager, which is available here, right? And there is some email app to use the report server email. Specify the existing. So example, if you want to use the report server email functionality, you should specify the sender email address here. Okay. Sometimes if you are working in a real-time project, some reports are automatically pushing from SSRS, but you want to specify from which account it is coming from. You can specify it here, right? And what is your execution account? You have to specify your execution account. It can be any account than your service account, right? It can be a training account, or it can be administrator account, right? So there is some concept called encryption keys, right? So what it will do is, like reporting services will encrypt all your credentials, connection strings and other sensitive data to a reporting server database, right? If you want to back up, where is your reporting server database? Reporting server database is present here, right? It will put everything here. If you want to back up your any of your settings, right, you can always back up from here, or you can configure from here. Okay. So two important things: how to connect to your report server is one thing, and what is your report server and what is your report manager. How you can make the things up and running is the main things in SSRS, and you have to make sure that you have SSRS service up and running here, right? So if I go back to the slide, now you will be able to understand how the things works. So I have the report processing. So this report processing is nothing but the SSRS, which I have example report processing engine, which I will take the data retrieval, security, schedule, and everything can be done using the SSRS development studio, right? And I have a server catalog. Where is my server catalog? Server catalog is a hosting database, right? So which is in the report server. I showed you what is report server. Once the things are hosted in the report server, right, you can open your report manager, right? Where is your report manager? This is your report manager, right? You can use or open your report manager. This is your report manager to manage the things, or you can open your reports using the SSRS designer to edit or modify or develop a new thing, right? Or somebody can connect from external client, something like SharePoint, to this particular thing, right? And the data sources in the delivery point of it can be an HTML, Excel, PDF, or a custom thing, right? And I already told you SSRS has a capability to deliver the things in email, file share, or to FTP location, right? And there are some security features available which can be managed using the report manager. If you go to report manager, there is some section for separately for security. We will see what is that, right? And your data sources can be anything. There are a lot of drivers and lot of things where you can connect to from the SSRS. The different things what you are able to connect from SSIS. In SSIS we can connect to Oracle, SAP, DB2 and all those things, right? In the SSRS also you can connect to the different ODBC supported sources and OLEDB supported sources, right? So the sources can be anything, right? This is the thing about SSRS, and the architecture of the SSRS works in this way, right? So you will develop the reports using a SSRS designer, and on the back end there will be a service which will be up and running to execute the things, and there is a report server and there is a report manager which are used to host and manage your reports, and where you can control the security and you can deliver the reports to the end user in the form of different files and using the different sources. So this is the overall structure, overall hierarchy or overall things about the SSRS architecture, right? So I hope this is clear, and this is very important. When you try to do the things in your home, right, something will not work, and any of these things does not work, and every time it throws you some error, right? So make sure that all these things whatever I told you are up and running, and make sure that they are talking to each other. Okay. So there is a reporting lifecycle. Before we take a break, quickly we will go through what is the reporting lifecycle. Basically, it is authoring, management, and delivery, right? What is the meaning of authoring? Authoring is something like based on the permission, we have to give the correct sets. So example, for employee, we should give the employee information related, which can be seen by the employee. Manager, based on the manager role, we can give the information based on the manager, right? So this is kind of authorization, right? And management is something like where you can give the different permissions or add some security measures or some handle something, right? Or to edit some of the things. So that is called as management. Delivery, what is delivery? Delivery can be in the form of they can access through the URL, or they can access through some SharePoint or some report builder or some report viewer. So basically this is the life cycle. What you will do is first you will try to develop the reports, authorize it and manage it, and you will try to develop. This is the reporting life cycle. When you are working in the project, this is the same life cycle you will follow. You will have the requirements, you will develop the report, you will make sure that you have a proper authorization process, and you will make sure that you have the proper management process for after the deployment, and you will deliver the reports. Right? This is the life cycle, and it continues for every project. So before I go to the summary of this, right? So we have the different types of reports which can be generated using SSRS. One type of report is called as a tablix report. What is this tablix? It is kind of a table report, but you can have some additional functionality of this matrix report. Okay, what is this matrix report? Matrix report is nothing but it is used to display the grouped data. Example, if you want to display a sales rep against the different territories, what is his total sales amount? In those scenarios, just go for the matrix. We'll see an example. And we have some reports called sub-report, where you can access one report from another report. You have a concept called chart report, so where you have different charts like bar chart, pie chart, trend chart, line chart, spark lines, different kinds of charts. You can do it from SSRS. And there are two additional concepts. One is the drill down and drill through. Right? What is drill down? Drill down is something like you have something and you click plus symbol and you go somewhere and you click plus symbol. That is drill down. What is drill through? If you are opening another item from your report, something as a URL or some other thing, then that is called as drill through. This is only the theoretical part. We'll see how it works.